Roald Amundsen was born in 1872 near Oslo, Norway. He left his mark as one of the most successful polar explorers ever born. He became the first to travel the Northwest Passage, and then turned his eye towards capturing the North Pole. But news had traveled that another explorer named Peary had already attained the North Pole. This caused Amundsen to make new plans, covert plans, for an expedition to the Antarctic and for the capture of the South Pole. Robert Falcon Scott, a storied British explorer, was making his plans to similarly claim the South Pole. This expedition was widely publicized with excitement abounding about his new research, data, and discoveries. In years past, this team had gathered volumes of research data on most of their expeditions, and this one would be no different. Amundsen led the Norwegians as they left Christiania on August the 9th, 1910, 8 weeks after the British-led Scott's Terra Nova expedition. After months of base camp preparation, Robert Falcon Scott and his team left to trek toward the South Pole. And within days, Roald Amundsen and his team left on a different path, but aimed towards the same objective, the South Pole. It was either a race for triumph or fiasco. Both teams had the same goal and equal access to information. The weather conditions were the same for both, nearly both the same age, and both of them had equal experience and knowledge of exploration. Although there were many things alike, the end result would be drastically different. While one team was victorious and had a safe return, the other experienced several trials and ultimately death. What does this story have to do with you and me? What can we learn from the choices, action plans, supporting cast of mentors and information from our career and financial support team? How did information, the partners chosen to be with the explorers on the mountain, and mentoring, both positively and negatively, affect the outcomes of both of these explorers and their teams? What paths do we choose? Who do we listen to when it comes to our lives, career, and financial choices? Because the ultimate hedge against the dangers, uncertainty, and pitfalls of life is who you have on the mountain with you. I believe it's fair to say that most of us are living a very different life than the one we set out to live as we were younger. Maybe we were even a bit naive or blind with idealistic youthful bliss. However, life comes at us hard. Everyone must overcome his or her own challenges. Whether it's divorce, bankruptcy, illness, downsize, right-size, re-engineer, death, these are the vicissitudes of real life. Many are living lives of quiet desperation, not knowing exactly what hit them, and giving up on the dreams of years past. Some have even forgot how to dream, or stopped trying to fill their lives with purpose and abundance. Simply said, they are just living day to day. Some around us, however, prosper and are living a life full of purpose and fulfillment. But of course, not without their own challenges or hardships. The economic conditions blow on us all, but they appear to be on track and headed in a much different direction, much like Amundsen was. Why them and not me? We're similar in age, background, and maybe even perhaps education. So why the difference? What makes them so lucky? Or maybe it's not luck at all, and is instead like our South Pole explorers, they just simply chose a different path, braving a different course from mentors who have been on the mountain, gathered some of the different information, and they don't follow the popular vote. Well, let's take a little closer look at some of the key differences between Amundsen and Scott's expeditions. But first, ask yourself the question, which one of these two leaders do I most resemble? Honestly take this introspection so that you might choose to follow a different path if your life is not where you want it to be, or have given up on your dreams and want to dream again, or live a more purpose-driven life. Amundsen and Scott had exactly the same conditions and environment for the first 34 days. But as their behaviors differed, so did their outcomes. Robert Falcon Scott chose to use ponies and motor sledges that he brought from his European home, along with other supplies. On board with the Norwegians were 97 Greenland dogs, a hut, and provisions for nearly 2 years, in the Antarctic, including over 3 tons of supplies. Amundsen chose to have more than ample supplies, and Scott rationed things dangerously close to enough. Amundsen chose to live with the Eskimos and try to understand how the Eskimos had survived in their cold, wind, and Arctic conditions for hundreds of years. He learned how Eskimos used dogs to pull sleighs, and how they moved slowly and steadily as not to sweat excessively to avoid freezing sweat. He learned to wear loose clothing so that the sweat could evaporate. He trained himself in Eskimo ways and conditioned himself for every conceivable situation that might arise in the most unforgiving climatic conditions. Scott, on the other hand, chose not to train with the Eskimos. He chose not to become a good skier using dogs to pull his sleighs. Instead, he chose to use ponies. As the team unloaded the ponies after arriving at the base camp of South America, Scott quickly learned that the ponies hold in the snow, meaning their legs drilled down through the loose snow and their bellies were resting on the snow. He also learned that they sweat profusely when tethered in reins, which caused them to freeze over with sheets of ice. And sadly, within days of his journey, the ponies were deemed hopeless and had to be destroyed. Now the explorers had to pull all the supplies themselves. They harnessed up and trudged forward, carrying all the supplies, causing them to work harder, sweat, and become exhausted daily. The motor sledges he brought had not been tested in the extreme conditions of the South Pole, and they froze up, and blocks cracked within days of landing. Amundsen embraced the Eskimo philosophy of not getting into a hurry. He learned that slow and steady wins the race. His action plan was to advance 15 to 20 miles a day, regardless of the conditions. He would work hard during those climatic tough days and hold back on good days, refusing to overachieve the scheduled 15 to 20 miles, even if the conditions allowed. This kept them fresher and physically prepared for the not-so-good days that they would inevitably come across. 15 to 20 miles a day, every day. Rain, wind, sun, or snow. Scott, on the other hand, would aggressively advance on those good days and rest in a tent on bad days while waiting for weather conditions to get better. Scott reached the South Pole 34 days after Amundsen had planted the flag for his Norwegian king. Scott was devastated and frustrated by being so far behind. I believe that success is a choice and science, not luck. I would suggest that creating our future is very real and believe that we, given the right guidance, mentorship, and partners, can create our own future. I believe that dreams can and do come true, no matter how challenging they might be. There will be ups and downs, of course, recessions and booms, political chaos, currency devaluations, inflation, deflation, tsunamis, earthquakes, floods, famines, diseases, and all kinds of severe hiccups. This has been the case throughout all of recorded history. So why would it be any different for us, no matter where we live in the world? How we prepare for and deal with these uncertainties is the key. Managing our expectations, measuring our results, and understanding the political climates, taxes, good days and bad days. If we are calculated, measured, and engaged in the correct behaviors, partnered with seasoned professionals who have the empirical knowledge and know-how and believe in the philosophy of slow and steady wins the race, instead of the insta-fixes, get-rich-quick schemes, and what's-in-it-for-me mentality, then I am confident and bold in our outcome. I don't claim to know it all or have all the answers. I'm not saying that I have the only way to create our future, but I do have a way, and I am confident in the results and the team as we plug along during the correct activities, partnered with the right opportunity, team and system, day after day, rain, wind, sun, or snow. I believe that the better we are trained, guided, educated, and equipped to face the uncertainties of life, the better we can create our future. I am a big proponent of the network marketing industry, and I, like Amundsen, know that the popular sentiment is not for our industry. I get that. For me, the results, lifestyle, and financial freedom have all been storybook. Not without my own challenges and hardships, believe me, but in reality, storybook. Plus, this is not just about being good for me. Thousands have had similarly positive experiences, and have led a more fulfilled and purpose-driven life. The company I'm associated with is XanGo. XanGo is a 9-year-old company that began operations just a few years ago, but has crossed some incredible markers within the industry that thousands, literally thousands of other companies birthed before and after have never, nor ever will, cross these thresholds. These are facts, and documented, and undeniable. Why? How? Is it luck? I don't believe it is. The founders and operators of XanGo have over 100 years of combined experience in this industry. They have empirical, real-world knowledge and experience that guides this expedition on correct paths and charted courses that will ensure a successful outcome, not just in good times, but in bad. They are not perfect, and they'll be the first to admit that. But in just a few years, they have already planted the flag in many uncharted territories. This I can document and validate. And again, these accomplishments are indisputable. Don't provision your fuel and food dangerously close for your dreams to come true. Because things do happen. They have throughout recorded history, and we would be naive to think we are immune. I realize what we do is not for everyone. If not, fine. Eject this CD or audio file right now and tell us it's not for you. Do us a favor so we don't waste your time or ours. We are searching for those few who are frustrated by where they are, and perhaps having their ladder, or feel their ladder is leaning up against the wrong wall, and are willing to dream again. They want to dream again. Roll up their sleeves and go to work. Notice I said go to work. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, no magic cure or fast-acting relief. It is not easy, but I will say that it's worth it. I don't think Amundsen's quest was easy. If you were open to the possibilities and open to giving us a chance to explain who we are and what we do, then it's your move. It's your move to give us the thumbs up, to share an action plan with you, an action plan that has worked for millions of people from many parts around the globe. We will not try to talk you into or out of anything. It just simply doesn't work. We just want to show you why many companies will not survive, why some companies barely survive, but only a few, a very few, thrive. What differentiates these opportunities? Because to the untrained eye, they all look alike, sound alike. But just as Scott found out, the drama is in the details, and the outcomes very divergent. The return journey for Scott and his team met with disastrous weather, and the entire party perished. Evans died from a fall. Oates sacrificed his life by walking into a blizzard, hoping thus to save his comrades. Bowers, Wilson, and Scott died of starvation and exposure on March the 29th, 11 miles short of a major supply depot. Their bodies, along with valuable documents and specimens in their tent, were found 8 months later. Thank you for listening. My name is Glade Poulsen, and I hope that you take the next move. I really, truly would like to sit down with you and to begin to build a relationship and see if what we do makes any sense for you. Thank you very much, and God bless.